So we're into part two of our mini series into sexological bodywork and a few of the elements of that with Luzi, who is a somatic sexologist and facilitator, earth lover and temple artist. And aside from all of that, is one of my very good friends. So it is a total joy to have this conversation, Lutz, and this time we're going to go into talking about self-pleasure versus masturbation. And why don't we just open on that amazing quote from Dr. Joseph Kramer that you introduced me to?
Change the way you masturbate, change your life.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That's so good, isn't it? I mean,
so good.
Yeah, I mean, as you know very well, Robs, I mean, self-pleasure, that is the kind of, that's the niche I've carved out for myself in the realm of, sexuality work. And the reason for that is that changing the way I masturbated really changed my life. So reading this quote, I'm like, I mean, Joseph, he's right. I have experienced it. And I see the people that I work with having these experiences of how powerful it is to, really learn to relate to our bodies differently. And maybe that's a good place to kind of differentiate between masturbation and self-pleasure. And my definition of masturbation is goal orientated genital touch. So in my definition of masturbation, it usually has to do with the goal of orgasm, or at least the goal of arousal or experiencing pleasure in the body. It may have to do with release as well, stress release. And that's inherently, there's nothing wrong with that. That can be a very a nourishing way to meet the body, to offer oneself some release, to offer oneself an orgasm, to offer oneself some pleasure. And it's just a very small part of how we can meet the body. And I guess what may be limiting is that when we kind of masturbate in the way that the images that we receive on the media of like it's a quick kind of under the blanket job in the dark, no one's allowed to to see it. It's very much like like holding your breath, and quite like a shame overlaid little secret practice. Maybe there's some kind of some teenage themes around like, what if the parents will walk in, which that may have been hardwired into us, so it becomes this like secretive thing that no one's meant to know about. And because of so much shame around the subject of self-touch or masturbation, this then translates into how our body is when we touch ourselves intimately, or when we touch our genitals. And this might be, we might be in contractions, we might be contracting all of our muscles. There's this kind of, what if I'm getting caught? And there's also like a quick to the goal, which maybe the orgasm or whatever it might be. Shallow breath could be one of it, holding the breath, not allowing one's voice to come in, being like very silent, being like a silent little mouse, because no one's meant to hear, because how shameful if someone could hear me experience pleasure with myself. Would that be awful? And and it might be quite quick, quick friction movement in order to just get to a very high state of arousal really quickly and have that quick release. So with that, there may be ways that our body has adapted that actually then allow less pleasure. And now going into self-pleasure, which is a practice of just really being present and meeting the body where it's at. Some of the tools that we're working with, which are part of the self-pleasure practice, there's different words for it. Dr. Joseph Kramer called it orgasmic yoga. Some people call it erotic embodiment. Some people call it mindful masturbation. I call it self-pleasure. Some people call it self-nurture. So, there's all of these different words, but it's basically a way of meeting the body where it's at and supporting the flow of erotic energy with sound, breath, movement, touch, and focus of awareness. So where do I place my attention? And maybe for everyone right now, maybe just taking a moment to feel into your body and feel, is there anywhere where you're holding your body? That's like are your shoulders soft? Is your belly soft? Is your face, your jaw soft? Maybe feeling into your pelvis, genitals, anus. Are you holding anything? And maybe just taking a deep breath into the belly. And a little sigh out, and just feeling the almost immediate change in the body when we do that, of relaxing, of opening the throat with some breath and some sound. And then even just feeling like, how does the touch on my body feel different when I soften into the experience that is, and maybe also what emotions come up. So there's a way of meeting the body with a loving presence that is not about getting anywhere. So when we go into self-pleasure practice, we're not trying to create any particular experience. And especially for people who maybe feel like either they're struggling to orgasm or they're orgasming too quickly, going into self-pleasure, I really recommend going into that practice with radical acceptance of what your body will do is perfect. And of course, there's a way to encourage, becoming more orgasmic, and there's ways to extend arousal. So, for example, ejaculation, is delayed. There's ways to do that, but for people who just start their self-pleasure practice, I really recommend just letting go of any goals. Obviously, like holding an intention is super powerful. You can hold a certain intention of what you want to explore, but trying to make your body do something is often a really good way of achieving the opposite. So we really want to try and have an orgasm, it's the body can close and contract and feel pressured, because actually we want to meet ourselves in the moment and listen to what is true and let that emerge, which is true, whether that's pleasure, whether that's pain, whether that's joy and laughter, or it's tear, maybe it's anger, maybe the body wants to shake or scream, maybe it wants to roll around, maybe it just wants to be hugged, or maybe it wants to go into really stimulating erotic genital touch, and all of that is possible. So it's really about listening to how the body wants to express and how it wants to be met. And it doesn't necessarily have to include genital touch either. This is something that, of course, is part of it, but it doesn't have to, because actually there may be days where our genitals don't want to be touched. And then trying to do that when actually the body is a no. So again, there's a bypassing happening, which can lead to more contraction in the body. So it's a beautiful practice. It's a practice that really helps to listen to what's alive in the body in each moment.
It's so self-pleasure is like imagining our bodies to be like a really deep ocean that has just so much to explore. And I feel like that makes sense for me because of like the element of water and how emotion and energy flows. And it's something I'm personally trying to have more acceptance for, to take the time to actually self-pleasure and not just think, oh, there's like a wave of horniness, go and masturbate, which, like you say, it's fine, but like that deeper inquiry to self-pleasure and just touch and seeing what comes up, which might even be tears instead of an orgasm, and that's actually a wonderful somatic release that your body just needed to have anyway. And actually, this is where I really want to bring up 21 Days of Juice, your amazing online course, which I've done, is it 2 times or 3 times? Can't remember.
Well, you did the original one, which was called 21 Days of Clipmas,
Oh,
I
yes.
think. And then you did the 2 official ones after, yeah.
Which, I mean, I just mentioned about water, but you do use the elements as ways to kind of visualize and experience these different ways to embody pleasure or to explore pleasure.